Good evening and welcome to Breaking Today, the 11th day of October 2020. We have a great bulletin lined up for you. A lot has happened today, and therefore in the next 30 minutes you should be getting all the latest news. But on the other side of our studio, my good friend Cedric Oronje is standby to bring us all the latest sports activities which have happened today. Oronje, apart from the UEFA Nations League, which will be taking center stage starting from 7 p.m. or rather right now, what else do we have from the sports world?
Despite the international break, we also have the Bledisloe Cup, which is an action-packed rugby which has been taking place, and New Zealand played Australia, but of course just stay packed.
All right, but first, here is what we have for you in the headlines. One person dies in North-HORR. MARSABIT's floods wreak havoc, displacing over 200 families. Slow activities as schools set to reopen tomorrow. Be tolerant of one another, Deputy President urges leaders. And mixed reactions as leaders weigh up on the early campaigns. All right, you can be part of this broadcast by sending in your SMSs to 111 Let us know where you are watching from, and we begin our Breaking Today on a rather sad note where Churchill Show comedian Ben Maurice Onyango, popularly known as Othol, has passed on after battling brain tumor for some time. He died today evening at Kenyatta National Hospital. Daniel Ndambuki, aka Churchill of the Churchill Show, posted on his Twitter account the passing on of Othol. May his soul rest in peace. Elsewhere, one person has died and hundreds of livestock swept by floods following heavy rainfall that continues to pour in several parts of North-HORR sub-county in MARSABIT, leading to massive loss of property and wealth. Over 200 families have been forced to spend the night in the cold after their houses were destroyed by the deadly floods. Countless animals have been reported dead and houses damaged. The main road from North-HORR to MARSABIT town has also been rendered impassable due to River Balal overflowing in MARSABIT County. MARSABIT County, however, has experienced a long drought this year, with the Chalbi Desert occupying more than half of the county. All right, to the daily updates on COVID-19, the death toll has risen to 766 after 6 more patients succumbed to the virus in Kenya as cases of infection continue to rise. Today, 388 more people tested positive for the COVID-19. All right, we move on. It has been close to 6 months without any educational activities, with Kenyans always on the spotlight due to the last-minute shopping rush as schools reopen. This time round, the situation is totally different. Our reporter Cedric Oronje did a spot check in Nairobi and filed the following report.
Following Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha's announcement on the progressive reopening of pupils in Grade 4 and Class 8 as well as students in Form 4, the country has witnessed a change in routine given that most pupils are not geared up for classes. Judging from the empty streets and closed bookstalls, one can easily tell that students' turnout will not be the same come tomorrow.
Tulikuwa tunafanya last time zilikuwa juu compared na wakati huu, kwa sababu saa hii ni vile wanarudi tu darasa 3. So huwezi kuexpect wazazi wote wakuja at once. Nafikiria sababu kubwa wazazi hawana pesa, hawakuwa prepared. So unaona ni kitu ghafla. Sasa nafikiria hiyo ndio ile shida kubwa, unaona sasa wazazi si wengi.
However, far from the bookstalls, transport operators who are usually busy when schools reopen are also in disbelief. Most of their customers used to be students going baback to school, but this time round, they are just serving ordinary citizens. With the school reopening situation still not clear, many Kenyans and stakeholders in the educational sector have been caught between a rock and a hard place. The issue of unpreparedness turns out to be the ignored subject, with many parents complaining of having spent the last of their savings, leaving nothing for back to school. Kenyans are used to parents and students storming the bookshops and bus station for their respective academic paraphernalia when it's time to go back to school. This time round, the situation does not seem to be the same. Cedric Oronje, Switch TV.
All right, away from educational matters to politics, where Deputy President William Ruto has asked leaders to be tolerant of each other. Speaking today at the African Inland Church in Bomani, Machakos County during a service, the Deputy President has encouraged leaders to respect the house of God regardless of their status. Let's listen in.
Even after the National Security Advisory Committee gave a directive regarding any gathering by politicians, the Deputy President William Ruto has continued with his church tours. Today, the DP was accompanied by Makueni Governor Kivutha Kibwana, MPs Aisha JUMWA, Kimani Ichung'wah, among others, and they sought for forgiveness on behalf of the government from the church over the spots of interruptions of their services witnessed in Murang'a, Kakamega and Nyamira counties.
Mheshimiwa Mustahiki, Excellency, Baba, mpaka mtu anachanganyikiwa, anakuwa na wazimu. Anaona sasa ndiye yeye amesahau kuna Mungu. Lakini Biblia inasimama hapo, seek ye first the kingdom of God. Tutafute ufalme wa Mungu kwanza.
The Makueni governor called on leaders to dialogue and put the country on a united and transformation path, with Ichung'wah urging for competition on issues rather than engaging on ethnicity and hate politics.
Tunaelezwa kwamba inatakikana katiba hii ibadilishwe. Ikiwa katiba ile iko haipewi heshima, hiyo ingine tunaambiwa ibadilishwe itapewa heshima.
Tukiwa na mamlaka tufanyie kila mtu haki. Isisemekane sababu naibu wa rais ako kanisa hapa, kanisa haliwezi endelea hapa kama yale tunayoona kufanyika huko Kakamega ama yaliyofanyika Murang'a. Na wengine wanaweza kufanya mikutano ya hadhara bila kuzingatia sheria yote. Sheria tunaambiwa ni kama msumeno, inakata ikitembea mbele na ikirudi nyuma, na inakata kwa usawa.
Malindi Member of Parliament Aisha JUMWA claims that the law is being applied very selectively on matters peace and security, and that church leaders too must be objective when it comes to who should be allowed to worship where.
Pande hii kusiabudiwe na mtu fulani, pande hii mwingine anaweza kuabudu bila shida, pande hii mwingine akienda lazima risasi zilie, tear gas zionekane. Juzi kulikuwa na bishop, sijui kama ni ukweli yule ni bishop ama ni vikaragosi vya mabishop. He was daring the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya ati asifike Kiambu.
The leaders encouraged the church to stand for justice for all, emphasizing that Kenya is divided into the haves and the have-nots, and as such, something must be done to bring equality among the people. Nyakundi Kelvin, Switch TV.
Still on matters to do with politics, former Premier Raila Odinga and other ODM leaders have rubbished the Hustler Nation's wheelbarrow donations by the Tanga members led by the Deputy President William Ruto. The leaders were speaking in Bondo, where Raila also said the government cannot be a prisoner of the courts and that the government's move to develop every corner of the country must be respected.
Now I can't call you my friend. The Hustler community is the fifth column trying to bring this great job that President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga want us to do, the BBI and the four big agenda that you know and has been explained to you.
Hii mambo ya wheelbarrow. Hiyo ni analog ama ni digital? Kama tumerudi analog, siwaje hapa. Kwa sababu walikuwa nasema analog ni baba.
Wanaenda pale wanatoa injunction ati watoto wasirudi kwa shule. Serikali haiwezi kuwa mabosi ya mahakama. Yule jamaa ambaye anatoa hiyo injunction, yeye mwenyewe hajafanya utafiti. Serikali imefanya utafiti na kuna wataalamu waangalie maneno, mtu mmoja anakwenda kusema nimesimamisha. Yeye ni nani?
Right, nominated MP David Ole SANKOK has accused the government for being hell-bent on using force to stop the Deputy President William Ruto and his allies from holding public meetings in the country. However, some Malindi leaders have called on all premature politics to be seized, as Saza Munga reports.
David Ole SANKOK, who is a nominated MP and an ally of the Tanga Tanga Brigade, has pointed fingers to the Director General of Police, Hilary Mutyambai, for allowing misuse of security personnel for political reasons.
Wala ambao wanatumia kinyume ya katiba kupatia Inspector General orders ya kusimamisha hii mkutano na kupatia ingine iendelee, nataka kuambia Inspector General of Police, this one we will revisit. It may not be today or tomorrow, but we will one day revisit.
SANKOK defended the Deputy William Ruto, who is seeking to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta and now leading his early campaign with a brand name hustler, a phrase he is using to identify himself with the jobless population as those doing manual jobs in a bid to win the support. Contrary to SANKOK's opinion, Kakuyuni Award representative Nixon MRAMBA and Malindi parliamentary aspirant Philip Charo have restrictions on premature campaigns to be heightened. The two leaders say that early campaigns have the potential of causing national instability ahead of the 2020 general elections.
Ule msimamo uliopitishwa juzi na ile kamati inaitwa National Security Advisory Council, mimi naiunga mkono kwamba kuwe na utaratibu, tufanyie kazi watu kwanza. Siasa zikifika, kila mmoja atasema alilotengeza na atakalotengeza.
Na mimi ninatoa mwito kama mwanasiasa, kama kiongozi, ya kwamba nyinyi wananchi msije mkagawanywa kiasi cha kwamba tuwe tumejenga chuki, iwe sasa ni kupigana boma lile na boma lile kwa sababu ya kisiasa.
In the recent weeks, the country has been witnessing some political leaders crisscrossing the country, campaigning for 22 polls.
Right, thank you, Saza Munga, and apparently she's my camera person tonight. Elsewhere, away from matters to do with politics, there has been a rapid increase in the number of mentally challenged people since the COVID-19 pandemic hit the world, impacting every sector and fabrics of life, leading to global depression. This is an observation by the mental health specialist, as Amina Hussein reports.
The magnitude of the mental health burden faced around the world is not being matched by the investment it requires. The extraordinary increase in mental health needs with the added challenges of COVID-19 is taking a toll on already overburdened and under-resourced mental health services and facilities.
Na kuongea atuanzi na dawa. Nikisema ati uko na depression, ujue kuna tofauti za depression. Mild depression, moderate na severe. Nikisema ni depression nitakupatia dawa, atuanzi hivyo. Kwanza njoo kuja tuzungumze kwanza. Tunaanza na kuongea. Kuongea yenyewe inapunguza.
A small group in Uthiru, known as Think Out Loud, deals with sensitizing people on mental health. Their mission is to advocate for government to build rescue centers for the ever-increasing population of people going through mental health issues.
Wengi sana ambao wako sasa na hii shida ya akili, na kama serikali ya Kiambu tunasema kwamba itakuwa muhimu sana sana upande wa health, upande wa department ya health, tuone kwamba tutaongeza pesa ili kitengo ambayo imetengwa ya mental health, tuongeze pesa ndio watu wakienda huko wapate zile huduma ambazo zinafaa. Kukue kuna mpaka psychiatrist ambaye atasaidia hawa watu akili. Unapata watu wengine hawajafika ile kiwango ya kuwa akili imepotea ama wamekuwa punguani. Wengine unapata ni ile stress wako nayo ambayo inafanya wawe na hiyo ugonjwa.
However, Kiambu County government says they will make sure that the Department of Health will allocate supplementary budget in order to help the mentally challenged. Amina Hussein, Switch TV.
All right, now at exactly 15 minutes past the hour, we take a short break, but when we come back, we have more news for you. We have the international news and sports news coming to you in a very short while. Don't go away. Keep sending in your SMSs to 111 444 111. Later in the broadcast, I'll be sharing your views. Welcome back to Breaking Today. We continue. As the world celebrates the girl child today, the theme of the year is My Voice, Our Equal Future. Reimagine a better world inspired adolescent girls. International Day of the Girl Child 2020 aims to raise awareness about the challenges faced by girls across the world and to create a healthy environment for every girl child. Our reporter Andrew Okero now prepares the following report.
In the life of young girls, their tracks crossed when by choice or enticement, they got pregnant at a very tender age, rendering the mothers with no one to help. Edith Mrogo, on realizing the gaps in their life, took a bold step to come in and give them a shoulder to lean on when the society rejected them. This represents many young girls in the capital and the country at large.
Much progress has been made in the last 2 decades to ensure every girl is able to grow and develop in good health. However, there is still much to do to create equal future. Tali Agla Shelter was started in January 2012 to reach, rescue, rehabilitate and reintegrate trafficked and abused girls between the age of 10 to 24 years and to give psychological support, education and other basic needs.
Otherwise, there are millions of girls out there who suffer the same fate and have no help. Nobody has heard their cries and nobody is addressing their issues in any way, absolutely.
Naomi, not a real name, was only 15 years when she was forced to marry a 30-year-old man according to Maasai custom when she was in class 8.
So hawataki ujitafutie, wanataka wakutafutie. Na tena kutafutia ni ngumu. Sababu unaweza tafuta mwenye umpendi, tena unaweza tafuta mtu kama babako. Yaani na tena wakiona hii umri ni kubwa na ndogo kwako, hata wakuambia about kukupeana, unasikia tu umepelekwa.
Janet again, not her real name, dropped out school while in Form 2 for lack of fees and came to Nairobi to try ways of earning on her own before she landed a job of domestic worker for some young men. One of the men impregnated her and disappeared after learning her situation.
Kwa hivyo akaanza kunivuruta, nikamwambia unajua unataka uniharibu na bado mimi ni mdogo, wewe utafute nini hedge yako. Ikaenda hivyo hata sijui venye ilitikia mpaka nikashika mimba.
Normally they have a lot of health needs considering that many of them have actually gone through abuse. So they do need medical checkups, they do need treatment, some of them may even need surgery.
This young girl here is a teenage mother of one with 6-month-old baby. She claims that her stepfather abused her sexually at 15 years.
Yeah, sio babangu ni huyu ni wakunizaa. Niko yangu.
Hakuwa nilipia school fees. Sasa sikuwa naweza kumwambia ndio anirudishie vibaya. Nilienda huko asubuhi nikarudi nyumbani. Nikakaa tu wiki mbili nikasikia niko pregnant.
We need to ask ourselves, are we doing enough?
According to Edith, the founder of this rescue center, that for years they have supported over 1,000 girls. Young children are returned to school while the older ones are supported to access tertiary institutions and vocational training centers. Edith's major challenge is the weak child protection systems in Kenya.
Are we using our positions to advocate for the protection of the girl child? Are we using our position to make a difference?
It is said, when life gives you lemon, make lemonade out of it. These young girls in this institution with the leadership of the Center for Domestic Training and Development have the realization of the fact. Though the future may seem blurred, but you and I have the responsibility to make and see it more focused. Andrew Kero, Switch TV in Kiambu County.
Thank you, Andrew Okero, for that beautiful story there. But it's bitter, traumatizing, Bearing in mind these are just young kids, 10 years, 13 years, and yet they are having their firstborns. Anyway, let's get to the international front, where Namibian police on Saturday fired tear gas, rubber bullets, and arrested dozens of protesters in the capital WINDHOEK during the third day of nationwide demonstrations against gender-based violence. The nearly 400 protesters, predominantly Namibian young women, were marching to one of the main shopping centers in the capital city to shut it down in order to send a message that corporate Namibia also has a duty in the fight against gender-based violence. The unprecedented youth-led protest that began on social media was quickly dispersed by police and Special Reserve Force using tear gas, rubber bullets, and batons. The mineral-rich South African country, plagued by high unemployment and poverty, has been grappling with scourge of violence against women for years. Windhoek receives more than 200 cases reported under the Domestic Violence Act on a monthly basis. Fewer cases per month were recorded during the COVID-19 lockdown, with 175 reported monthly, according to the Namibian police. Over the 3 days since the countrywide demonstrations erupted in the coastal town of Sokompud and Otiwarongo, north of Windhoek, protesters have chanted slogans such as "No justice, no peace." They are calling on President Hage Geingob to declare a state of emergency over violence against women and femicide. They also want armed response unit and special training for police in dealing with GBV cases. The group on Friday had marched to government offices demanding the resignation of Minister of Gender Equality and Children Welfare, Doreen Sioka, over her religious stance when handling GBV matters.